Yahweh Elimine Susibieturum, Yeshua, Avun. Yahweh God and Creator, we stand before you in thanksgiving to know that your Spirit is here to guide us. Yeshua, we thank you that you establish a holy hedge of protection around this time as we seek you. May we be heightened to remember and know that each and every act, every breath is significant before the nature of your Spirit. May we be strengthened in our ability to seek you first, to know the effects of our actions, that they might align with the nature of your Spirit, exalt you, raise the nature of your design up, and reveal your glory in all that we do. We breathe as one. Yahweh amiyo kohavonda hondeo mayo sholievus yolio tantantane kayiro khavun lieva hoteus navu vayunda onde kum nataunye esisiedi unda aunde kapondra hatun yede bakayu tetishnikwandra lodomla kawandri vis bahariun Arusha tutelivis masipiara. And as we breathe once again, we are one within our God and Creator. There is no separation between the perfect wisdom that is our God. We relinquish all veils or any experiences of this day that we may come before the perfect and holy reverence that is Yahweh's presence, Yeshua's divine intervention, and the Abun, the life-giving breath of God's Spirit within each of us. And my prayer, as you may have heard, it was coming forth in tongues, and I stated it in English, was the importance that we would be increased to the reverence of each and every act. If we can do this, we breathe. If we can do this simple thing, to recognize the simple reverence of each and every act, we would begin to recognize God within us before each and every act. And we would find ourselves moving in such a way that the breath, the thought, the outreach of our hand, the sharing upon our Facebook, the words upon our phone calls, the dealings we have before clients would become an opportunity of great significance. And as I was just saying to a couple of people before the phone call began, we have to remember also that even if we don't see the significance of one thing, we must recognize that others may see significance to our acts. Others may see significance even in harm or offense. However, if we would seek Creator, God first, we would find that God would not allow us to step into a ground that would bring harm upon another. We would seek God first, and we would move in such a way that we'd become an instrument of blessing, revealing glory, unity, and understanding, and respect and honor for all things of the past, all things of the present, and all things that God reveals in the future that do align with the nature of His Spirit, her perfect wisdom, Yeshua's sacrifice, and the life-giving breath in each and every moment we receive. We breathe as one. And I am led to share with this, and I will be transparent with you, that before we began the recorded segment of this call, I wanted to release this, but it keeps rising back up with me, and I'm continuing to return to this understanding. But I want to share with you the importance and significance of each and every act. As we have situations like the tribal Native American tribes throughout the United States that used to be here before the United States was formed, and many of them still present throughout our nation today. or when you look to certain practices within the Catholic faith, or you look to certain practices within the Buddhist faith, or you look to certain practices within the Taoist or the Muslim faith, you find that certain things are very significant to these belief systems. And as you look upon a certain, like the Native American chief's headdress, it represents so much. But what's happened in our society is we've moved to this place where it's become this interesting bubble, this little commodity that can be used in the images. It can be used to sell. It can be used in a way that does not represent the truth and integrity of how it emerged, how it was a significant and specific symbol that represented the great story of the chief's life, the life of the tribe, all the experiences of sustenance, counsel, overcoming strife in the past, the Creator's blessing over them, of how to personally receive also even the gift that the bird shed the feather for the chief as he was walking, because they would pick up the feather as it landed upon the ground. They would not pick up a dormant feather upon the ground itself. If they saw the bird release it to it, that's the one that would go in the headdress. Or from their personal efforts, if they were on a journey to collect food and gather, or on their journey of manhood, the accomplishments of the tribe itself, war councils, the offerings of a tribesman or a tribeswoman to the chief directly. And what happens is this significance of the tribal representation of this gets lost. Or you see certain significance of how there are some people within certain practices and faiths that cover themselves. And do we honestly search our heart first to say to God, okay, how am I supposed to act? What am I supposed to do within this setting? And one time I was in an airport, and as I prayed, this woman, she was sitting there in a hijab, or I think that's what it's called, but the burqa, and she was all covered up, and so much so that all you saw was her eyes. And at one point, I was just in a state of prayer, and she ended up sitting, it was like those airport bench seats. She ended up sitting in such a way that I looked over and I saw her, and she was looking directly at me. And I bowed, as I was in prayer, I just bowed my head to her, because my hands were kind of sitting in a position that it was a little bit obvious that I might have been in a state of prayer. And I bowed to her, and she looked at me, and then she bowed forward too. And I had this knowing enter me, that as much as the world looked at her, they thought that she was covering herself. Yet that what she wanted to do was gift God her eyes, that she might see creation through God's eyes and relinquish her eyes for God's use. That's what she wanted to give over, was the use of her eyes. And God blessed us this moment where I was sitting there, and I started to tear up, and I'm like looking at her, and she sees me beginning to tear up, and I look at her again, and I just asked her, I said, is this the gift you give to God? Is your beautiful eyes that you might see the world as God does? And she broke into tears. And then she bowed her head again. She didn't speak. She just bowed her head again, and then she raised her hands up into a prayer posture and then bowed once more. And then we just sat there. I mean, I didn't speak to her anymore, because that was what she was giving to God, was her ability to see and look into this. Now, I don't know if the other thousands of women scattered throughout airports all over the world that have this burqa on and covering of some sort, do they have the same gift that they're extending to God? I don't know. But in that moment, I sought God to understand how God wished me to act in that moment. And it was a place of reverence, looking upon God, surrendering to God within me, that I might discover God within her. And in that beautiful moment, I believe that there was a recognition within her that she realized that this white guy sitting over here to her left actually understood something that she had believed her whole life that these white guys didn't get. So God used this moment of simple interaction to become a significant act of reverence, love, and revelation of divine glory. So I would ask that each and every one of us might consider the possibility that if we sit down, we look to any instrument of communication within our lives, whether it is Twitter or websites or Facebook or telephone or whatever we happen to be utilizing, or face-to-face interaction, can we trust God enough to say that the things I experience are more powerful within your use? Then release ourselves fully into God, that even the thoughts we consider or the things we may have encountered might hold greater value before God and reveal God's glory by our surrender. So we breathe as one. We offer thanksgiving, praise, and worship to our God. Yalviloma Sasilia to the Kaburuta Tirishna Kabun, Arundara Kaliota Kapai Buniota. Tuvri Emelekutur Kapiesma Safiandoro, Otoro con Mireveras Sverish to Kuturiamandro Cobriana. Havla Malakuta Revis Misilian to Coriamas Spirietrum, and we breathe. We exhale and release all thoughts we've held before this moment, that we might embrace the one thing, that we are to seek Yahweh first in all things, and remember in the knowing that God is perfect love, perfect unity, perfect peace, perfect healing, perfect remembrance, perfect compassion, perfect charity, and we breathe. Havlan lakialmia susumie, orioto torekamuya funyu. As we submit ourselves before our God in the holy name that is Yahweh, Yeshua, Abum, Amen. Abum solo utrema kanma. Amen.